Yep. It's time to give due credit where credit is given duly. Okay. That was just awkward, sorry. Okay. It's good to be back, so to speak. Here's your damn rant show, folks. Greetings and welcome to the first new episode of Film Rants in over a year. I'm your host, E. Adam Thomas, and I just can't stop dipping my balls into your interweb computer screen. I will be erratically alternating between Film Rants and That Damn Rant Show just to be an abhorrent pain in your ass. So tonight, I'm overjoyed to be able to talk about the new Godzilla movie from Japan, Toho Studios' production of Shin Godzilla, which debuted in July of 2016. So first of all, let me just say, if you have not yet seen it, stylistically, it is extremely different from any previous Japanese Godzilla film. It's not quite found footage style like Cloverfield, but at least in the first third of the film, there is a certain element of that style. It also is a complete reboot, meaning that as far as the characters in the film are concerned, no creature like this has ever existed before. Unlike Godzilla 1985 and some of the other Millennium films, which were, in one way or another, all sequels to the original 1954 film. Sorry about that, Space Godzilla, I didn't mean to bump your tail. This film has a completely clean Kaiju-free slate. However, that is not to say that the filmmakers did not honor the original film. In fact, two of Akira Ifukube's music cues from the original soundtrack of the 1954 film were utilized raw. They didn't re-record them or synthesize them or modify them with additional instrumentation, and other music cues were similarly used, all of them from films scored by Master Ifukube. That right there earns the film a point for coolness by itself. The basic plot is pretty straightforward. Weird ship disaster, unexplained property damage, big monster comes out of the sea and starts smashing shit up. All of that is a familiar trope to all of these movies, especially origin stories where it's just the one creature. What's fascinating about this film, though, is how they handle the government's response to the disaster. Remember, in this film, there's never been a Godzilla, a Reptilicus, or even a King Kong or a Gorgo before. This is completely alien territory for the Prime Minister, all of the various experts and military personnel, and of course for the citizenry as well. There are no maser tanks, no oxygen destroyers, no brilliant scientists with a miraculously implausible deus ex machina. What they do have is what most major nations of the world today do have: bureaucracy and mind-numbingly crippling paranoia about doing anything that might end up being a public relations issue. Somehow, they have to completely evacuate a city of over 3 million people so that when they start firing bullets and missiles at the monster, there is no chance of a civilian death brought about by any self-defense force weaponry. Keep in mind, at this point, thousands of people have already been killed. But they were killed by the monster, not the self-defense forces. So, unfortunately, Godzilla himself does not have a PR rep, nor does he have his own Twitter account, so he can't even lash out at the press or at the cast of Saturday Night Live. This is what I love about the best of the Godzilla series films. The big monster smashing city stuff is amazing and awesome, but you also often get a nice dose of political satire and social commentary. There are a few glaring exceptions, but for the most part, Toho's Godzilla output has always been amazingly well written, so that the film's appeal transcend normal tokusatsu fare of special effects and monster action. Right from the very beginning, The best entries in the Toho Kaiju franchise have always included elements of human relationships, social and political commentary, and satire and humor. Say what you want, all you want, about big rubber lizards smashing papier-mâché skyscrapers, but there are episodes of Star Trek that pale in comparison to films like Mothra or Gojira when it comes to making a statement about the human condition. Now, this is not to say that Shin Godzilla is without its faults. One thing that is sorely lacking in this film, that is usually a lot better in most other films in the series, is that there's no real lead character that you're encouraged to connect with. Now, this would appear to be an intentional aspect on the part of the filmmakers, and as I said before, the style of this film is extremely different from anything that has come before in the Godzilla franchise. The first 15 to 20 minutes is almost like you're channel surfing during a major catastrophe. It honestly kind of reminded me of the morning of 9/11 when I was so shocked and taken aback by what was going on. I literally called in sick and just sat there for the entire day staring at the TV, recording a tape of what I was seeing and switching between all the news channels and network affiliates. To be honest, it was kind of jarring in that respect, and even later on when they backed off from that method and started focusing more on the characters, you still had a sense that you were not supposed to get to know these characters too well. That makes it hard for a non-Japanese speaking viewer to get engaged in the storyline, and the approach is definitely very different from any of the American films or any TV series. Of course, even at its most popular, Godzilla films always considered international viewers as an afterthought. And to be honest, many people in other countries consider American film styles also virtually incomprehensible. So I can't therefore honestly ding the film based on that necessarily. As for the special effects, I will be perfectly honest with you. If a year or so ago you came up to me and told me that I would be lionizing a Japanese Godzilla film that used motion capture CGI instead of suitmation, I probably would have told you to go Inke Bukuro Otobero. Shit, that's annoying. Get that off, get off. Yeah. Frankly, it's hard to believe it based on how good the effects are, but literally all of the monster action was realized via motion capture and CGI. It looks believable and real, like they hired the most amazing miniature set builders, costume designers, and suitmation artists in the world to bring this film to life. Seriously, there are only 2 or 3 shots that even look remotely CGI. Even those shots are everything as good as anything Spielberg or Abrams has put on film thus far. They actually look more like CGI was used to enhance a practical effects shot. I hold this film visually up to anything you'd see in Independence Day Resurgence or Pacific Rim. It really is a far cry above and beyond the previous entry, Godzilla Final Wars from 2004. So, what's the big answer? Sorry. Force a habit. Looking at the Rantometer, we see Artistic gets a 5. Because they took some of the serious risks with the film craft as opposed to other Kaiju Aiga, and it paid off beautifully. Coolness gets a 5 as well, because even with the lack of real character development, this film gives you enough wow factor to more than make up for it. Originality gets a 4, because it is still basically a retelling of the original Godzilla film, and with less character and emotional engagement than most of the other films in the series. Suckitude gets a 1, because of the irritating level of the graphic text overlays. Every location, every character, every fucking bowel movement gets a piece of text on the screen in both English and Japanese, and that's just the copy I saw. God forbid it was shown in France, to let you know who's on screen, where they are, and how many corn chunks are visible in their colonic Snickers bar. In addition to the translation subtitles. Now seriously, there are times that as much as 50% of the screen is taken up with this shit, and then if the scene is also a news report with all the graphics and text therein, and how they make sense of that in Japan is anybody's guess, but it's almost as bad as CNN anyway. It's literally like being puked on like by an encyclopedia. That brings the total score for Shin Godzilla to 13. Overall, definitely one of the best Godzilla films, even surpassing the Gareth Edwards 2014 effort by a half a point. Next time on Film Rants, a double feature for you: Deadpool and Star Trek Beyond. After that, maybe I'll take a look at two of the newest Star Wars films that have come out since I retired the show in 2015. And don't forget that there's still plenty more That Damn Rant Show on its way too. If anything I have said today upset you or offended you in some way or hurt your little cupcake feelings, good. If you agree with everything I said, awesome! Either way, let me know by commenting on this video, looking up That Damn Rant Show, or Angry Men Reviews on Facebook, emailing me at boratom@gmail.com, firing me on Twitter, digging up my corpse out of the backyard. Okay, who put that in? Oh well. Anyway, I really want to hear from you, especially if I pissed you off. In the meantime, thank you for tuning in, and feel free to let me know if there are any films, new or old, you'd like to see me take on. Hope you enjoyed my little outburst. Explosion? No, I didn't say explosion. I said... Oh, forget it. Fuck you, Google Translator. Good night. Angry Men Reviews. Many fucks said, no fucks given. A happy moment. All right, everybody, time to throw down. Did I break one? No, okay, it's an unbreakable one. Here we go.